Please remain standing for the posting of the colors. Post the colors.
I want to welcome everyone to this celebration of accomplishment. I am Dr. Randy Ryan, the 11th president of Chadron State College. Today we gather for one of the oldest secular ceremonies in Western society, the conferring of academic degrees as a symbol of intellectual attainment. The robes we wear link today's ceremony with its medieval past and remind us of the importance of higher education. I am pleased so many of you could join us to celebrate our graduating class and to recognize the perseverance, hard work, and achievement of Chadron State College students. Please feel free to come forward to take pictures as you wish as the ceremony progresses. We will begin this event with a moment of reflection to be delivered by Ms. Morgan Cullen. Ms. Cullen will graduate today with a Bachelor of Arts degree and is from Chadron, Nebraska. Morgan?
Hi. Thank you, CSC, for the privilege of speaking today. I am honored and greatly humbled. My college story is one of a kind. Like most 18-year-olds fresh out of high school, I thought I knew it all. I thought college wasn't for me. After a couple of years of working, I welcomed my first child into the world, my amazing son, Dylan, and it wasn't until I looked into his eyes that I realized I needed to make and be the difference. When my son was 3 months old, I began my college career. While working full-time, being a wife and a mother of 2 boys, I took one class at a time. While my story might not be the same as yours, the message will always be the same. Don't give up on your goals, chase them. There is always bright hope for the future if you are willing to fight for what you want. Expect challenges along the way, and I can assure you that they are worth it. As you graduate today, don't forget to thank those who helped you get here. Your parents, your family, your friends, Google, Wikipedia, Quizlet, Red Bull, and of course, copy-paste. I need to thank the amazing team of individuals who surrounded and lifted me up throughout the years. To my wonderful parents and my in-laws, thank you for always being a support system in times of doubt, for always being a powerful example of what being parents truly means. To my sister, I literally could not do life without you. You have pushed me to be a better person, and even though you are younger, as you love to remind me, I will always look up to you. To my incredible supportive husband, you have always been my biggest cheerleader and advocate. You have always lifted me up and pushed me towards the finish line. You are my soulmate, and I love you. Sorry. To my incredible children, Dylan and Brady, and my nephews, Joshua and Nathan, never settle. You are capable of big things if you are willing to learn and try hard. I would like to leave you with a quotation out of a book that we read this semester called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Mountains should be climbed with as little effort as possible and without desire. The reality of your own nature should determine the speed. If you become restless, speed up. If you become winded, slow down. You climb the mountain in an equilibrium between restlessness and exhaustion. Then, when you are no longer thinking ahead, each footstep isn't just a means to an end, but a unique event in it of itself. To live only for some future goal is shallow. It's the sides of the mountain which sustain life, not the top. Here's where things grow. After you leave the nest today and soar into your future, always aspire to be a lifelong learner, continuing to grow and achieve. So to my fellow graduates and now alumni, I want to say congratulations and class is dismissed.
Can you hear? Okay, I think it's on. All right. Sorry for the technical difficulty. Thank you, Morgan. We are gathered here today to honor the graduates of the class of 2019. However, it is also important that we honor those people who are here today that supported and encouraged you through the years. I would like to take a few minutes to recognize those people who made it possible for you to be here today. I would like to start by asking everyone in the audience who graduated from Chadron State to stand and be recognized. CSC grads. Thank you. In many cases, the graduates who will walk across the stage today are the latest generation from families of multiple generations of CSC graduates. For some of you, you have the distinction and honor of being the first generation in your family to graduate from college. Now, would the parents of the graduates please stand? Parents? Grandparents? Would the grandparents of the graduates please stand? Spouses? Would the spouses of the graduates please stand? The children? Would the children of the graduates please stand? Brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews, please stand. The friends and sweethearts of the graduates, would you please stand? Now, would those people who joined us by accident today please stand? One more round of applause, please, for all those people who made it possible for the graduates to be here today. The other very special people who have made it possible for the graduates to be here today are the faculty and staff of Chadron State College. Would the faculty please stand and be recognized, and please remain standing. Faculty? Would the staff please stand and be recognized? The people standing before you have dedicated their talents and time to make possible what we celebrate here today. Thank you. Now I would like to introduce to you the distinguished individuals joining me as members of the platform party. Please hold your applause until all have been introduced. Mr. Gary Bagansky, Chair of the Board of Trustees of the Nebraska State Colleges. Mr. Adolfo Daniel Renaga, a Chadron State alum and today's commencement speaker. Captain Scott Mullis, who will commission our cadet. And Ms. Melissa Mitchell, our registrar. And now, Dr. Charles Snare, the Vice President for Academic Affairs. And I want to take just a moment and acknowledge something. Today, I would like to recognize Dr. Charles Snare, our Vice President for Academic Affairs. This will be Charles' last commencement ceremony at Chadron State, as he is retiring on January 10th. His leadership has had a significant impact on campus, arriving here in 2006 as the Dean of Liberal Arts, and then serving as our Vice President of Academic Affairs. There are so many things that Charles has helped accomplish for this campus. But perhaps most importantly, he has worked across all areas of campus to create a strong sense of collegiality not found on many campuses. Would you please join me in a round of applause for Charles Snare for a job well done. Thank you. It is now my pleasure to invite Mr. Gary Bagansky to the podium to bring official greetings from the Board of Trustees of the Nebraska State Colleges.
Honored guests, President Ryan, faculty, staff, alumni, and most especially graduates, your family and friends, welcome. What a privilege it is for me to be with you today and celebrate Chadron State College's graduating class of 2019. Graduates, this day is about you, your achievements through hard work, determination, and moments of creative inspiration. Graduates, it's time to imagine your future and the world to come. When you think of the road ahead, you may gain perspective by looking back at where you've been. And I hope when you look back on the time you have been at Chadron State, you will do so with fondness. And when you look ahead, you will see Chadron State College as a part of the future. You will always be welcome here, and we look forward to hearing about your personal and professional achievements as you build on a future provided by your Chadron State College degree. We also hope to continue to engage with you as alumni as you travel forward on many new adventures. As you begin a new stage in your life and experiences, you can be confident that you can and will make a difference, because like Chadron State College graduates who have gone before you, you possess the knowledge and skills that are confirmed by an excellent education. I believe that each and every one of you has the capacity and the skills to make our world a better place. Congratulations to all the parents that are here to witness this great moment in the lives of their sons and daughters. And congratulations to friends and relatives for being here to make this event memorable. As a member of the Board of Trustees of the Nebraska State College system, President Ryan, I invest you with the power and authority to grant degrees to these great graduates of Chadron State College. Thank you.
Today's commencement speaker is Adolfo Daniel Renaga, an attorney for Legal Aid of Nebraska, a nonprofit organization in Scottsbluff that provides legal representation to victims of domestic violence and elder abuse. Mr. Renaga graduated from Chadron State College in 2014 with a legal studies major and a criminal justice minor. He then earned his law degree from the University of Nebraska, where he worked with UNL's Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, a service designed to provide free tax preparation for low-income families. After being admitted to the Nebraska bar, Mr. Renaga began his career at Legal Aid as a staff attorney for raising effective advocacy for crime victims' health and safety. Outside of his work with Legal Aid, he serves as a vice chair for the Nebraska Latino American Commission. As the child of 2 Mexican immigrants, Danny said he is pleased to serve on the commission that links state government and the Hispanic Latino communities of Nebraska. Please join me in welcoming Adolfo Daniel Renaga.
That hat's made out of velvet, by the way, so I'm going to keep that off. Well, welcome everybody. I would like to begin by congratulating today's fall 2019 graduates. Perhaps you find yourself today graduating a little early, or perhaps you find yourself here today graduating a little late. Maybe today's commencement ceremony represents a culmination of many frustration-filled nights, or maybe today represents a branch sprouting from your family tree as you become the first person to graduate from college. Or maybe you're here begrudgingly as you're not much for the pomp and circumstance. But don't worry, I wasn't much like that either, and we'll talk about that today. Regardless of what camp you find yourself in today, you all have a lot to be proud of today. So when I was thinking about what I should say today, I was a bit unsure of where to go with it. And so I did what I often tend to do when I'm unsure about something, and I asked my wife. Now, my wife, is a fountain of beauty and intelligence and always knows what to say. She's the most caring and compassionate person I know. And which camera has the live stream going? That one? Okay. My wife couldn't be here today, so she said she was going to be watching the live stream instead. So, shooter's got to shoot, right? I asked my wife, her and I graduated in 2014, and I asked her, what was the one thing you wish someone would have told you when you graduated? And she, in her infinite wisdom, said, I wish somebody would have told me that things get harder before they get easier. So I thought about it, and I had to agree. You see, back after the summer that I graduated, I had a friend who convinced me to run a marathon. Well, regardless if you believe me or not, I ran the marathon. Back then the dad bod was not quite so pronounced. But what I didn't realize at the time was that that marathon would go on to be symbolic of what the next few years would be like for me and my family. A long, exhausting grind with random people cheering you on and telling you to drink more water. I've often thought, if I was going to write a book, I'd like to title it, The Art of Grinding. Now, the more I thought about it, the more I realized I'd probably inadvertently end up on MTV or some machinist tutorial video or something, neither of which my mom would be particularly proud of me for. But, you know, this idea of grinding, of rolling up your sleeves and putting your nose to the grindstone, I think is a concept that is often lost on us, especially in this instant gratification society we live in. My pastor likes to use the phrase, long obedience in the same direction. And I think what we could apply this phrase to many aspects of our lives. When we think about where we want to be in 5 years or even 10, 15, 20 years, we often overlook the fact that legacies are often built on longevity. A while back, I was actually reading scripture, and in the Bible there's a story about a city called Jericho. Now, Jericho was a city that was heavily fortified by stone walls all over. And in this story, God tells a guy named Joshua that he is going to help the Israelites conquer Jericho, but he needs them to walk around the city 7 days. Now, if my Amazon packages took 7 days to get to me, I'd probably stop buying from Amazon, right? I mean, why else would my siblings pay for Amazon Prime? But what makes this story more interesting is the fact that we're never given any indication that Joshua ever told the Israelites just how long they would be walking for, right? Life's a lot like that. We don't always get to know how long the pain is going to last. We don't get to know how long we have to grind away at something before something gives. But I'll tell you what I've noticed to be true most of the time is that the things that require a lot of work are typically worth it. Things like a healthy marriage, raising kids, having a fulfilling career, friendships, financial security, and yes, even a college degree. And most of those things are hard at first. Take it from me. About a month after I had ran that marathon, my wife and I had our first son. And then about a month after that, we packed up our things and moved to Lincoln so that I could go to law school. Pro tip number 1 for today, don't start law school with an 8-week-old baby. Remember that one. So, things were hard when I left Chadron. Law school is not a place you go to have fun and sleep a lot, for those of you who are wondering. In fact, I was so convinced that it couldn't get any worse that me and my wife decided to go ahead and have another kid while in law school. 2 weeks before finals, in fact. Pro tip number 2, don't have a baby 2 weeks before finals in law school. But it was one foot in front of the other, right? Putting in the long hours, pushing myself farther and harder than I ever had before, going and going until finally I reached the finish line. There were times when I felt like it was never going to end, and there were times where I felt I had to ask myself if I could or even if I wanted to keep going. But let me tell you, when I was finally able to help my first client get out of an abusive relationship, it all suddenly was worth it. It's easier now. In fact, we got so used to sleeping that my wife and I recently decided to have a third kid. Pro tip number 3. No, I'm kidding. Have kids. Kids are great. Let me also just briefly say this. There may be times in your life when it really seems like there may be no way out, when those walls are just never going to fall down. If any of you ever get to that point in your mental health, please just talk to somebody. There are hotlines available, there's online chat functions, and there's even a lot of local resources. But whatever you do, please, please do not give up on lap 6. Now, one thing that I found out as I grew up, but wish somebody would have told me earlier, was this: do the things that scare you. Now, there are natural fears, and I am not advocating for everyone in this room to go full on Bear Grylls and start jumping out of helicopters and eating raw animals. I'm talking about the kind of fear that holds us back from being everything we work so hard to be. I actually brought a couple of mementos that I've kept over the years that help me or remind me of this very philosophy. Oh, and you know how I mentioned earlier that I wasn't really much for celebrations or awards and things like that? Well, my perspective or my opinion has definitely changed over the years. And that actually has to do a lot with the Israelites we spoke about just a bit ago. There's another story in the Bible that talks about the Israelites where God instructs them to put stones in this particular river. The reason for that was so that when their children passed by and asked, what do those stones mean? They could remember a time or recollect a time where they had a victory or some sort of miracle. So now what I try to do is remember those times that we have some sort of victory. You know, it's really easy as humans, we're pretty forgetful. And it's really easy to get down on ourselves and even question our self-worth. But when we look at that diploma on the wall, when we look at those pictures of our kids or whatever your victory is, we're reminded that we're capable of doing great things. So like I said, now we try to do something to celebrate when we have some sort of victory like that. For instance, when I graduated from law school, I took my wife to the #1 place on earth that she wanted to go, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in Universal Studios. Of all the places, right? Pro tip number 4, if you stay at one of the hotels there, you get early access to the park. So there's a free travel tip for you, remember that one. So the first thing I want to share with you guys today is actually this harmonica. It's a marine band harmonica made by M. Hohner out of Germany, in God knows what key. But if there are any harmonica aficionados out there, come find me after this and tell me that this is worth some sort of money, please. That would be helpful. But this harmonica actually represents one of the first times that I did something that was completely out of my comfort zone and legitimately scared me. You see, when I was, I believe, a senior in high school, there was this competition called the Stars of Tomorrow. It's basically a talent show. I think Alliance still does it. And although I can't remember exactly why, I decided to enter this competition. And I remember thinking at the time, crap, now I gotta think of a talent, right? I had been teaching myself to play guitar at the time, and so I knew like 4 chords. And I remember seeing this harmonica in a junk drawer. And so I went out, went full Bob Dylan, got one of those harmonica holder that kind of looks like the old school braces with the headgear. And I decided to do a guitar and harmonica song. Now, I probably looked pretty ridiculous that night since I brought in my classical style guitar. I didn't even have a case for it, had no electronics. Dragged it in with a harmonica that I didn't know how to play. And so I just decided to go for it. So, much to my surprise, I ended up taking 2nd place. And for the record, I do recall that there were more than 2 contestants, for those of you who are wondering. But that was one of the first times that I went out and did something that legitimately scared me. And from that, I was able to overcome a lot of anxiety about talking or being in front of people. A skill that would come in handy later in life, as luck would have it. The next thing that I brought to share with you today is actually this padfolio that I have. So this padfolio kind of just looks like a beat-up office accessory. It's navy blue. It holds a regular-sized legal pad in it. It's got some tape. It's holding the corners together. I bring this with me to various meetings or speaking engagements. But this Padfolio is actually pretty special because probably none of you could buy it. It's only, or was only, available to Senate staff members. You see, between my junior and senior year in Chadron, I did another thing that really scared me, and I applied for and was accepted into an internship that I was utterly unqualified for. I cannot stress unqualified enough, right? Again, much like the talent show, if I think back about why I decided, I'm not actually 100% sure why I decided to apply for that particular internship. All I remember is that as the spring semester of my junior year was coming to an end, I got a call from then Senator Mike Johan's office asking me if I wanted to spend my summer working in DC. And although I didn't really know how it was going to work out, I decided to say yes. And so my wife and I packed up our clothes and almost nothing else, and we moved to DC for the summer. So that internship was perhaps one of the most transformational experiences of my life, but not probably for the reason most of you are thinking. I have to admit, it's very awe-inspiring to walk through our nation's capital and to just stand in the old chambers of Congress where some of our nation's greatest debates took place. That is something that's very, very special. And when you're an intern or a staff member, you actually get a badge that lets you go see parts of the Capitol that most people probably won't ever get to see. Pro tip number 5, if you're planning a trip to DC, call your congressman or senator and you get a private tour. It's a lot better than the public tour. Remember that. And so although being exposed to policy on the brightest stage was awesome, the thing that made this experience so special was what it meant for me to even be there. During the summer, at least when I was there, they did a lecture series where they would bring in different people like political pundits, rising congressmen or women, or some sort of world ambassador. And during that summer, one of the guest lecturers was Stephen Colbert. Now, you can imagine there was a lot of interns wanting to see Stephen Colbert present, and so they had to use one of the bigger auditoriums there in the Capitol that holds, a couple hundred people. And so me and the other interns went, and we sat in these theater-style seating. And I remember in this dimly lit room just seeing rows and rows of the back of people's heads. And for some reason, all I could imagine as I was looking at the back of those heads was rows and rows of sugar beets. Now, one thing you should probably know about me is that my parents are originally from Mexico. They immigrated here to the United States in their early 30s. And one of the big reasons we ended up here in western Nebraska was because of the migrant work. And there was a popular circuit that they would run. They would work in California, fruit and vegetable fields, make their way up to Nebraska and clean beets, and then make their way up to Washington to work the potato harvest. So when I was up until I was about 17 or 18 years old, I spent my summers typically working 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, just going up and down these sugar beet fields, cleaning them by hand, using a garden hoe. And you would just spend all day walking up and down these rows of sugar beets. And you would get cold, muddy, and wet in the morning, and then by the afternoon you were dying of heat and covered in dust. And so as I was sitting there in the literal capital of the greatest nation on earth, some nobody from Podunk, Nebraska, son of Mexican immigrants who had just come here to try to carve out a piece of that American dream for their kids, surrounded by some of the brightest minds from all over the United States, and all I could see was those sugar beets. All I could remember is from where I'd come from. I was in awe of the fact that I had gone from walking those dusty roads plowed up by tractors to strolling through the halls of the world's greatest decision makers. This folder is a reminder to me that the greatest stories in my life will not be written in the ink of fear or self-doubt, but rather in that of confidence and bold determination. You guys are capable of much more than you think you are. You guys are capable of much more than you think your circumstances will allow. Now, lastly, I brought this envelope. This envelope was sent to me by the Nebraska Supreme Court, and in this envelope is a written opinion or an order from a case that I recently argued in front of the Supreme Court. Now, I'll admit, I'm a little green as an attorney, as they would say. I've only been practicing law for a couple of years. Some people practice law their entire lives, and it's not entirely sure. They always know what they're doing. That's why we call it the practice of law. No one ever truly masters it. But to say that I was a little intimidated when I found out that I would be arguing my case in front of the Nebraska Supreme Court would be a little bit of an understatement. But I decided to take on the challenge. I did all the research. I read up on everything that I could about appellate advocacy, and I wrote a kick-butt brief in support of our position. And just as I had started to feel a little bit more confident that we were going to win, the Supreme Court issues a decision in an entirely different case that has similar procedural facts that our appeal had raised. And then, a few weeks before oral arguments were supposed to happen, they issue a show cause order that basically states, in light of this recent decision that we issued, that you had no idea was coming down the pipe a year ago when you filed this appeal, tell us why we shouldn't throw your case out. And suddenly, I didn't feel so confident, right? But I'd been down this road before. I knew that all I could do was put my head down and do the work. And I can tell you, when our case did get called, I gave those 7 justices 10 minutes of pretty kick-butt legal argument. You know, when this happened, when I found out that I was going to be arguing this new issue, I had to laugh a little bit because the issue that was being raised now was a question of civil procedure. And it's funny to me because when you're a first-year law student, everybody takes a class called civil procedure. It's an entirely long course, nobody likes it, but everybody takes it. You want to guess how well I did in civil procedure? Not too well, not too well. So when I found out that the first and maybe last time that I was going to argue in front of Nebraska's highest court would be on an issue of civil procedure, something that had plagued me for so many years, couldn't help but notice the irony. But as I prepared, that irony that I had thought about soon was replaced with a sense of purpose. For those of you who are curious, I lost, but this envelope represents a time when I chose not to accept a trace of apathy in my attitudes or actions. You cannot give in to the temptation of complacency or cower in the fear of opportunity, in the face of opportunity. You got to do those things that scare you. Now, as a final note, I just want to speak quickly on the subject of justice. I wouldn't be much of a legal aid attorney if I didn't at least do that much. We live in a world where the ideals of justice are very often perverted or tainted by what we see on TV or hear in the news, but I think that is a dangerous road to travel on. Our country seems to be constantly overwhelmed by fractures that go to the issues of equity and fairness. And when we see those type of issues on a national or even a global scale, it's really easy to shrug our shoulders and think that we can't possibly personally affect change. But each one of you will have some sphere of influence where you guys will have a chance to either demand or deliver justice. Maybe some of you are going into law enforcement, in which case it's going to be your job to uphold the principles of justice. Maybe some of you are planning on working as some sort of public official, in which case you're going to take an oath to uphold the principles of justice. Maybe some of you are actually going into education, and you're going to have the opportunity to advocate for the fair treatment of a child. Or maybe, just maybe, you're going to be sitting enjoying dinner with your friends, and you're going to witness someone be mistreated because of the color of their skin. Whatever road you guys decide to go down, I would urge you to seek justice. I want to congratulate all of today's graduates one last time and thank Chadron State College for this honor to be here on this very special day. I wish you the best of luck in your next adventures, and I want you to all go out and show the world what it means to be a Chadron State Eagle. Thanks.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees, the faculty, the students, and the administration, thank you, Mr. Renaga, for this splendid address. I would like to introduce Captain Scott Mullis. Captain Mullis, will you please come forward for the military commissioning of our cadet?
Thank you, Dr. Snare. President Ryan, distinguished guests, faculty, family, friends, and graduates. I am honored to present the Chadron State Commissioning Ceremony for the fall of 2019. As I look at the graduates today, I see several familiar faces that have worked diligently for their degrees and their accomplishments at Chadron State College. Congratulations to all of you. I wish you all the best of luck and hope our paths will cross again one day. For Cadet Carlos Calle, I am proud of the accomplishments and leadership that he has provided to this school and this ROTC program. It has been an honor to watch him develop over the past couple years and have nothing but full faith and confidence in his ability to lead our nation's soldiers in any challenge. Today's ceremony includes a commissioning oath, pinning, and a first salute. For the sake of time, please hold your applause until the end of the salute and the introduction of Lieutenant Calle. Cadet Calle, post. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your full name, having been appointed an officer in the Army of the United States in the rank of second lieutenant, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will, well and faithfully, discharge the duties of the office upon which I'm about to enter. So help me God. Pinning on Lieutenant Calle's bars are his friends Cale Scheidler and Caitlin Mason. After commissioning, Lieutenant Calle will serve in the United States Army as a quartermaster officer, where his first assignment will be Fort Wainwright, Alaska. Thank you. The tradition of the silver dollar salute dates back to the earliest days of the United States Army. This honored tradition calls for a newly commissioned second lieutenant to give a silver dollar to the first enlisted soldier who salutes them. This coin represents the symbolic receipt of respect due to the newly earned rank. It also signifies a deep sense of gratitude for the knowledge, mentorship, and lessons that enlisted soldiers, especially NCOs, have passed on to them during their training. This acknowledgement from one professional soldier to another welcomes them into the service. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present to you the newest second lieutenant in the United States Army, Lieutenant Carlos Luis Calle.
Thank you, Captain Mullis, and congratulations to our new lieutenant. During today's commencement, we should recognize those students who are graduating with academic honors. In recognition of their outstanding academic achievement, they are wearing medallions. Please note that those students graduating cum laude have attained a cumulative grade point average of 3.6 to 3.74. Those graduating magna cum laude have a grade point average of 3.75 to 3.89. And those graduating summa cum laude have a grade point average of 3.9 to 4.0. Would all honors graduates please rise and be recognized? Please be seated. Will the candidates for the Bachelor of Applied Science degree please rise and remain standing? Will the candidates for the Bachelor of Arts degree please rise and remain standing? Will the candidates for the Bachelor of Science degree please rise and remain standing? And will the candidates of the Bachelor of Science in Education degree please rise and remain standing? President Ryan, upon the recommendation of the faculty, the chairs, and the department, as well as the deans of the school, I recommend to you these candidates for conferring upon them their baccalaureate degrees.
Thank you, Dr. Snare. By virtue of the authority vested in me as president of Chadron State College by the Board of Trustees of the Nebraska State Colleges, and upon the recommendation of the faculty, I confer upon you the degrees of Bachelor of Applied Science, Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Science in Education, with all the rights, privileges, benefits, and responsibilities appertaining thereto.
Graduates, you may now move your tassels to the left. Degrees will be presented in the order in which the student's name appears in the program. Please come forward to accept your diploma. Family members, please feel free to come up near the podium to take photographs. Caleb Lee Fritz. Taylor Emma Remp. Marin Achamano. Zoe Magnolia Anderson. DeAndre Patrick Barthwell. Hannah Marie Calkins. Carlos Luis Gaia, magna cum laude. Thad Carr. Austin James Duncan Claymore. Morgan Jean Cullen. Desiree Rochelle Derrickson. Jesse Jean Drury. Matthew Ellis. Riley Michael Ellis. Tyree Justin Fryer. Brandon Michael Fullerton. Roxanne Ruth Furtwangler. Kayla Ray Gross. Brittany Johanna Heidemann, cum laude. Tristan Dale Heldenbrand, cum laude. Jaslyn Marie Henderson. Rain Heron, magna cum laude. Tate Aaron Jensen. Emily Elizabeth Jones, summa cum laude. Robert Spike Jordan. Sarah Jean Coster. Zachary Joseph Kozlik. Alyssa Dawn Kuhn. Nicole Larte. Justin James Lehman. Aduma Abayam Bang. Creighton Charles Miller. Travis Mills, magna cum laude. Yen Nguyen, summa cum laude. Chanaza Gif Nawaza. Tyan Bradley Palmer. Taylor Marie Parsons. Samantha Jo Persinger. Logan Brittany Philbin. Lydia Privet. Jessica Marie Rawlings. Jeremy Luttrell Ruffin. Kayla Ann Shaneman. Louis Lontravius Smith. Caitlin Stroh, summa cum laude. Natnell Tedessi. Jamie Renee Thomas. Sharia Lane Toof. Gina Tullis. Matthew Jacob Vargas. Angela Diane Vihill. Selena Joy Vogel. Dakota Marie Wademan. Jordan Watt. Madison Olivier Weichert. Nan Wetzel. Aaron Seegerwood. Tavon Wayne Anthony Wright. Ezekiel Ronald Zolke. Faraj Damji Faria, summa cum laude. Caitlin Rose Gustafson. Laura Beth Larson, magna cum laude. Tobiam Banugal, cum laude. Marina McCrary. Colton Andrew Mulsick. Micah Daniel Schubarth, summa cum laude. Clinton Crescencio Jordan Albertus. Emily Elizabeth Bukaski. Kelsey J. Channer, cum laude. Megan Nicole Chintala, cum laude. Shaylee Jean Coburn, summa cum laude. Paige Nicole Bradeen. Philip Wayne Duncan. Kodiak Franklin French, cum laude. Alyssa Ann Geist, summa cum laude. Nolan D. Grant. Lane Robert Jersold. Taylor Dawn Kaup, cum laude. Tyler Jacob Lewis. Jaylyn Marie McClare, magna cum laude. Mackenzie Nicole McMahon. Kaylee Christine Campuzano. Hallie Rochelle Beers, summa cum laude. Donna Claire Nichols. Dan Preister. Jaslyn Talia Wrights. Sydney Joy Stevens, summa cum laude.
Take a minute and let everybody get reseated. Before we conclude today's commencement exercises, I would like to recognize and thank a few individuals who have contributed to this event. Dr. Timothy Anderson, our faculty marshal and professor of business, and our two student marshals, Ms. Bailey Steiner, who is a member of the Chadron State College chapter of Cardinal Key National Honorary Sorority, and Mr. Joel Schroeder. Joel is a member of the CSC chapter of Blue Key Honorary Fraternity. Ms. Morgan Cullen for providing the opening moment of reflection. Ms. Cullen graduated today with a Bachelor of Arts degree and is from Chadron. The student providing the closing moment of reflection is Lieutenant Carlos Cali from Claremont, Florida. Lieutenant Cali graduated today with a Bachelor of Arts degree. The ROTC Color Guard, Cadets Colton Alexander, Calvin DePriest, Mason March, and Demetrius McFadden. And Dr. John Wojcik and the CSC Wind Symphony who provided the music today. Ms. Carrie Gaswick, our Vice President for Administration and Finance and the CSC Maintenance Staff. Mr. Alex Helmbrecht, Director of College Relations. Ms. Tina Cook, Marketing Coordinator. Ms. Melissa Mitchell, our Registrar. And Ms. Shelley Johns, Coordinator of Conferencing. Would you join me in a round of applause for all these folks that helped make this happen today? One last item before we adjourn. I want to invite everyone in attendance to join us for a reception in honor of our graduates on the mezzanine level immediately upon adjournment. And now, Lieutenant Carlos Calais will give the closing moment of reflection. He graduated today with a Bachelor of Arts degree and is from Claremont, Florida.
All right, it's already messed one thing up, so let's not make it 2 for 2. Good afternoon, my fellow graduates, friends, faculty, and honored guests. I'll keep this short because I know I'm the last thing that's keeping you guys from what I can only assume will be very quiet and dignified celebrations. I want to start off by saying congratulations to you all. For many of us, it was a long 4 years, and I'm sure that you are all as happy as I am to be done as I feel right now. Your accomplishment proves that all of us have the capacity to set a long-term goal for ourselves and the ability to realize that goal. We all have much to be proud of this day. I have to be honest that I was a bit surprised when I was asked to stand up here in front of you guys today to give this closing moment of reflection. I got the call and I readily accepted it before my brain had any time to process what actually happened, and like any good millennial, I was immediately gripped with nerves and regretted committing to anything. To be frank, I was at a loss for what I would say up here that would encapsulate 4 years into a 3-minute speech. So the first thing I did was I asked my friends, I asked my advisors, I asked my family. I reached out to all these people to help me figure out, and each one had some nugget of wisdom or piece of sagely advice about what I could possibly do to come up with something that may resonate with you, my peers, on such an important day. And then it hit me. When confronted with a problem I couldn't hash out on my own, I reached out to my peers, my friends, my mentors, and my leaders. And the more I thought about it, the more I could remember moments like these where I was presented with an obstacle that I couldn't by myself overcome or navigate, and having somebody help me with a kind word or a helpful pointer. I believe that we are all here today because of moments like these. We encounter difficulties. Many of us are fortunate enough to receive a helping hand that got us through those hard times. We've all had mentors, leaders, friends, and family that have showed us the way. There's a verse in Proverbs that comes to mind today. As iron sharpens iron, so does one person sharpen another. We all have in one way or another benefited from interactions with other people, from our mentors, from our leaders, from our friends and family. We have all been made better, sharpened by those around us every day. And so on such an auspicious day, I have a challenge for myself and to all of you as you go out into the world. Be the iron that sharpens iron. Be the person that sharpens other people. Be that friend, that mentor, that leader, that wherever you may go, you can be confident as you undertake your respective journeys, knowing that you're making the world a better place. For someone who can't do it alone, someone who is struggling, someone who is just as full of potential as you are and just needs a hand to cross the gap. None of us are islands in this world. We are all made better by being good to one another, by sharing and challenging each other's ideas, and by simply being available to those in need. And with that, I want to say congratulations to you all, and a thank you to all the friends, family, faculty, and staff that have made this day a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Calley. Will the audience please rise and remain standing during the recessional while the graduates and the faculty exit? We are adjourned.